I do love Gary doing my makeup. He's one of my favourites. He thinks a woman should look as dirty and as horny as possible.
So what is this for then? What are we doing?
It's a photo shoot for those naughty boys watching telly at this time of night. I think we're just going for a slut look, aren't we, today? Maybe look like a top. So as I sit back and get my finishing touches, let's take a look at something much more energetic.
Hello people, I'll try not to make this go on for too long because it is just going to be reading an article, but I was thinking about the 90s lads mags models like I often do. I mean, I met a few of them. Most of you will know that I had an evening with Joe Guest. If you haven't heard that story, go to my channel or just go to YouTube and search Dangerfield Joe Guest. I met Melinda Messenger around at Chris Evans' house and at TFI Friday. I even had a few drinks with Kathy Lloyd. She's more of an 80s model and from the Isle of Lesbos, by the way, but lovely lady. Yeah. But I went online, I thought, let's start online, and this is the first thing I found. And this was written in 2014, so we're in the fortunate position of being 10 years on. So we can have a look at some of the predictions, some of the ideas in this ridiculous... I haven't read this, by the way. I've just seen the title and the subtitle, and I just thought, oh dear. So let's waste no more time and dig in. The demise of lads mags and the rise of feminism. I mean, yeah, what could possibly go wrong? That... Look at this. That these misogynistic, hateful, prejudice, a lowering of social status, sexist publications were allowed on our supermarket shelves at all was a national scandal. I wonder if she'll say anything about the plethora of magazines aimed at women with pictures on the cover of unachievable, unrealistic models, the likes of Vogue, Cosmopolitan, Marie Claire, and the hundreds of other similar magazines. Oh no, they're all right, are they? Oh, because they're aimed at women. It's all right for women to look at beautiful women, but not men, because feminism? Okay, that seems to make a lot of sense. I'm sure this will be a cracking article. Let's go. When the noughties are remembered, lads mags will be among the cultural icons that tell an important story about the status of women at the time. Now here's the weird thing. Me and my mates who looked at these magazines and these women, we adored them. We absolutely adored them. They were elevated to almost deity-like status. This isn't misogyny. We would have done anything for these women. And if we'd have got with one of them as a girlfriend, as a partner, we would have given our lives to protect them. Oh, the misogyny. I mean, it's seeping through every word I say. It's dripping off of me. It's just so, the lack of rigour in the argument is, well, the reason there's a lack of rigour is because there's no argument. It's just assumed it's bad because feminism. Adorning supermarket shelves for well over a decade, magazines like Nuts, Zoo and Loaded. I met the editor of Loaded, what's his name? James Brown. And not that James Brown, hit me! I also know Pierre Zernou. He was the editor of Front. Yeah, interesting bloke actually. Spent a few months in an Indian prison smuggling gold into Tibet, I think it was. He's on locked up abroad. One of the banged up abroad, I think it is.
He said, I've just been to Nepal, smuggled some gold, and it was dead easy. You should do it. Carrying 4 stone of gold is a lot easier when you're charged with adrenaline. We were rushing, we were buzzing from the excitement of, you know, being in the presence of some serious gangsters with guns.
Anyway, blah, 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 epitomise an era that sneered at feminism and feminists. No, it didn't. It didn't care about you. It didn't think about you. It didn't consider you. Feminism, when the board meeting for a lads mag got together, feminism wasn't on the agenda. It was what sexy women are we going to put in the magazine this month and who's going to be on the cover. What's the theme going to be? I will guarantee feminism was not even considered. That is so... they sneered at us. No, they didn't care about you. They barely knew you existed, like most of the world. The degrading, pornified is amazing. None of these terms will be defined in this, by the way. We'll get to objectification or sexual objectification at some point. It won't be defined, because this is how feminism works. You know, they don't define the terms. They just repeat them over and over again and let you know that they're pejoratives. That is a bad thing. That's a bad thing. How are they degrading? Like I say, they were elevated. Men adored them. I just don't get that. It's just, this is basic. Now, I guess, having done a master's degree in cultural studies, the idea is, oh, look at her, you're just looking at her tits. Yeah, but that's not all she is. I'm not saying that's all she should do, but she does it very well, so why not? That's the weird thing about objectification. You know, if I'm having sex with a girl, I want her to sexually objectify me. I want her to use me as a sex object. Why? Because 1, she is anyway, and 2, it's sexy as fuck. And when I have sex with a woman, I sexually objectify her for the same reasons. Can you imagine having sex with a woman and sort of 10 minutes into it saying, I'm not treating you like a sex object, by the way. Wow. Imagine how insulting. That is degrading. That woman would be like, why not? Why? What? It's just ridiculous. The degrading, pornified cover images of women, mockingly dubbed ironic and harmless fun, Lord knows where that was, became part of the daily visual landscape for the British public as they went about everyday errands like grocery shopping and paying for petrol. Now, isn't it interesting that, you know, it gets very sort of domestic and mundane? Oh, these images were everywhere, even when people were buying petrol or getting their groceries. Well, guess what? There are beautiful, very, very attractive actual women in the world. I know, being a feminist, you probably don't see many in your social groups. But, you know, men live in a world where there are exceptionally attractive women everywhere they go. When they're buying petrol, when they're getting their groceries. Because that's how male sexual attraction works. In the first instance, it's visual. Now, you might not like that. Unlucky, but that's just the way the world is. And your attempts at changing it have failed dramatically. Because at 10 years later, how's OnlyFans going? Is that all right? Is that any more or less degrading? You know, I was looking at pictures of women in their swimsuits. You wouldn't get a nipple or a labia in Nuts or Zoo, but you can go on OnlyFans and for £2.50 see some poor 16-year-old in her mother's basement sticking her arm up her own ventriloquist dummy. But as Loaded becomes the latest magazine to announce it's chucking sexually objectifying content on the bonfire of history, What will the demise of lads mags tell us? Well, I'll tell you now what it'll be. It will be because the internet came out and the market went that way, and that is absolute fact. Look how many hits internet porn sites get. That is a fact. What's clear is that there will be a jostle for narratives. That's the most sexy thing this feminist has ever said. A jostle for narratives. Because which aspects of this story we remember or choose to forget will help determine what happens next. Let's be clear. The toxic sexual objectification that has characterised lads mags is rampant across mainstream culture, from advertising to newspapers to music videos. Yeah, and doesn't that tell you something? Hasn't admitting that destroyed your entire lack of argument? You know, this whole fetid feminist nonsense comes from your endless cave of resentment, fear and jealousy. There's a reason it's all across culture. You know why? Because it's all across culture. And real life. And women. You know, women who get up, look in the mirror, try to look attractive, wear attractive clothes, put on some makeup, do their hair. You know that is a thing. You know that? You okay, don't worry. Look at this. This is a right old It's a damn sight more convenient if the collapse of it's gone from pornified to pornographic. Pornographic lads mags is passed off as a simple tale of the impact of the internet. The readers have simply moved online, the claim goes. Nothing's really changed. But there's more at play here than the internet. Even lads mags publishers themselves are pointing out that the demise of this iconic set of publications presents more than just a shift in where lads in quotes though, like what? Lads don't exist. Again, another assumed pejorative, like objectification. Lads. And that they mean working class men, of course, there. It's just a shift in where lads prefer to get their fix of sexist images. Pictures of attractive women in one line there has been likened to drug addiction and sexism. Why is it? I mean, there'll be absolutely no definition of terms in this. There'll be no attempt to actually put forward an argument like a thesis, a hypothesis, a synthesis, a conclusion. No. Just an assumption. Oh, of course it's sexist. What, pictures of sexy women in their underwear? That's sexist. Of course it is. Because that's how feminism works. It just keeps repeating it until you just go, oh, I suppose so, yeah, it must be. The director of Loaded's publisher, Spencer Hickson, has revealed that the magazine is cutting out pornified content because we've got a distribution network that don't want to stock dirty images. We've got a general groundswell of opinion that's moved on from the noughties, and the publication is less attractive both to readers and advertisers and partners if there's a lack of consistency and negative association with it. Yeah, it was just the internet. I mean, you can try, darling, you can really try. It was just the internet. Similarly, Stuff magazine editor, I'll tell you who owns Stuff, my man Felix Dennis, who wrote that How to Get Rich. Stuff magazine editor, Will Findlater, great name, says his magazine has ditched sexually objectifying images of women and replaced them with sexually objectifying images of gadgets, by the way, from its front covers, because it's the right thing to do in 2014, because attitudes have changed. I think the audience is ready for it, the market's ready for it, and we don't want to feel alienated by our covers. Really, we've done this because we have seen there's a demand for change. Yeah, that is very disingenuous because Stuff is a magazine about gadgets. It's not a lads mag. It's about gadgets. So yeah, good try, but it's a fail. Over the past year, the demand could be witnessed in spirited protest outside lads mags retailers, on Twitter feeds and supermarket Facebook pages clogged with demands that they stop selling lads mags, and in retail executive inboxes flooded with messages from outraged customers. Together, thousands of activists of all ages, races and backgrounds, mainly white female feminists, managed to take this magazine genre, which has been in existence for well over a decade, front page headline news in the national press repeatedly, well done, and put thousands upon thousands of women out of work. How empowering. But don't worry, because their daughters are now doing OnlyFans. So yeah, that was what you achieved. Great stuff. Within 4 months of Object and UK Feminista launching the Lose the Lads Mags campaign, I mean, how bitter, how jealous and bitter is that? Yeah, we don't want men to look at pictures of other sexy women. And that's what it is, that's all it is. We don't want other men that have got nothing to do with our lives to look at other women that have got nothing to do with our lives. We want to make that decision for both the models and the consumers. you resentful, dried up old hag. Within 4 months of Object and UK Feminista launching, Feminista, it's got that horrible sort of Marxist edge to it. Oi, Feminista! Launching the Lose the Lads Mags campaign in 2013, the Co-op, well done, had withdrawn Lads Mags from its 4,000 stores, while Tesco has age restricted their sale and called upon publishers to tone down covers. Oh, you go, girls. You've really succeeded there. It's clear the retailer's response to the campaign sent shockwaves through the lads mag sector, with editors popping up in TV and radio studios to protest. Since then, Nuts and Front magazine have folded. Stuff has dropped objectifying images of women from its covers, because it sells it's a gadget magazine, and now Loaded has relaunched without its pornified content, and collapsed and died. Nuts and Front were only meant to be like a couple of year project anyway, just jumping on the back of it and surf it until it died. Good lord, I didn't spend much time putting them together. It was just pictures of birds. And once the internet comes around, that kind of loses its currency. Women and men around the world who risk ridicule and abuse to stand up to the toxic sexism of lads mags. That's what it's called, looking at attractive women in magazines. Toxic sexism. No explanation of why. Again, no argument. No attempt at an argument. It just is. Because that's what feminism does. It hasn't got arguments. It just says it is. They interfere in your life. They interfere in the model's life, and they're happy about that. It's an achievement. Turned the screw on publishers and drove the demand for change. Then there's a little bit more, and it's just the same nonsense. Well, 10 years later, where are we? OnlyFans. Pornhub being one of the most used websites in the world. So this is the 50 most visited websites in the world. I've just got this little top 10 here. But if we look at it, Google is a search engine, so it sort of doesn't count. YouTube is essentially social media, but it's a video hosting platform, okay. Facebook social media, Twitter's social media, Wikipedia, okay, we'll give you that. Instagram is social media. Baidu is China's Google, essentially. Yahoo is news and media. And then coming in at 9 and 10, the first ones that aren't social media or the monopolised big guns is X videos and Pornhub. Well done, feminism. You're really getting there. You're really making things happen. Yeah, you really done it. You go, girls. Ridiculous. Now, if after watching this video you might have got a slight and subtle, nuanced hint that it might have just been a way for me to put loads of sexy women on the screen, almost like a petty revenge attack on those hideous harridans we call feminists, you'll be absolutely right. Okay? Have a good day.
Sweet bit, sweet mama, sweet bit, sweet mama, sweet bit, sweet mama.